Hey everyone, I'm Arnie Clausen. Congratulations to Dr. Mark and Jill for 40 years of ministry. I served as the manager and engineer at WPFF back in the mid-90s. I also played bass and helped out with audio at Family Worship Center. Some things just never change. I came back to visit Door County just last summer, and Dr. Mark twisted my arm into playing bass for a Wednesday night service. It was great seeing some old faces and meeting some new people too. Back in the 1990s, WPFF had humble beginnings, running out of an old mobile home trailer that sat behind the church, using a DJ mixer as their on-air console. Over the years, we were able to make some significant upgrades, including moving into what some of us referred to as the old Doc Schwartzbauer place, the house right next door to the church. One of the things I learned from Dr. Mark was how to be a good steward of ministry finances. An example of this is when we were building remote translator stations, the cost of hiring a crew to climb all of those tall broadcast towers, it was just too high. So despite his fear of heights, Dr. Mark went out, he bought some ropes, and he bought a climbing harness, and he began climbing the towers himself to install all the various antennas and equipment required. Dr. Mark was never afraid to use a little creativity when it came to meeting the needs for the church. Once we needed a new PA amplifier for the speaker system in the worship center. There wasn't room in the budget for such a purchase, so during a service, he held an impromptu auction to raise the funds needed. Who'll pledge $50? How about $100? Who's got the last 20 to pitch in? Sold! It was an honor working alongside Dr. Mark, and I'm thankful to still call him my friend after all of these years. He's been there for both triumphant times as well as times of tragedy. He was always there to give advice for the hard dilemmas in life. Here's an example. We spent a lot of time traveling around the area, whether servicing the translator stations for the radio station or engaging with the radio community at concerts or events. As an antique book collector, Dr. Mark would stop at various antique malls along the way. At one such antique establishment, Doc was digging through some old books as usual, so I was browsing around and looking for some other interesting stuff to keep myself entertained. I ran across an old mechanical slot machine. I wondered if the wheels would still spin. I happened to have a nickel in my pocket, so I put it in, I pulled the lever, and the machine made a clunking noise as the wheels came to life. One by one, they came to a stop. To my shock and horror, the machine made another noise, the sound of a bell, followed by the sound of a huge handful of nickels pouring into the tray. I was immediately faced with the dilemma on what to do next. Had I committed a great sin by gambling? Will I go to jail because gambling was illegal? Do I just keep the money and say nothing? Do I turn it into the shopkeeper? Do I leave it in the tray and just walk away? I know, I'll ask Dr. Mark. After pontificating on the matter for a moment, we decided the best way to resolve the situation would be to put each nickel back into the machine, one by one, pull the handle until all the nickels were gone. Thanks to Dr. Mark and Jill for 40 years of ministry. Your unwavering dedication, passion, selfless service, and vision have impacted countless lives. May God continue to bless you abundantly, granting you strength, wisdom, and inspiration for the adventures that lie ahead.